All right, this month we're going to talk about one of the hidden symptoms of MS that people who don't have MS aren't very aware of. Can you think of what that one might be?
Exhaustion.
Well, that's one. I wanted to kind of link it to what Lita was talking about today with the CBD.
I was going to say pain.
Yes. Because though not everyone's aware of it, actually 2/3 of people diagnosed with MS will have some sort of symptom related to pain.
I want to say something. I don't know if you know what the Jimmy Hughes Center is. It's a center for people you go with MS. You do it. But a friend of mine was there, Tom Crane, actually. And a doctor speaking said the good thing about MS is there's no pain in it. And he raised his hand and said, how many people here have pain? And about 3/4. And somehow,
Even some doctors aren't aware that
it's-
pain is
there's
one
no
of the
pain in
symptoms.
That's stupid.
Or I'm working with someone and like, well, I have MS and I have this, and I also have this pain in my face. That pain, which I never remember what it's called, trigeminal neuralgia, is actually an MS symptom. So in MS, there's 2 types of pain. There's nerve pain, and it's attributed to the fact that the central nervous system, is disrupted because of the myelin. And those pains will be sometimes continuous and steady. Some people just have this burning continuously in a foot. Or they can be spontaneous. Some people lean down, and anytime they put their head down, they get a shock. That's attributed to those. Or intermittent. Every once in a while it comes on, or the spasms. And then there's musculoskeletal pains. And those are attributed more to just the effects of having a disability. If you have a dropped foot and then compensating using the other hip, you start having hip pain, right? If you're sitting more because you don't have any energy, you start having different back pains. There's a lot of back pains actually related to MS. And then the fact that because you're not using your body more, you have more muscle weakness, then you have other pains attributed to that. So, the good news is we've got a lot of different techniques in hypnosis to deal with both of these types of pain. I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. There's quite a few up there, aren't there? So, a hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner can do quite a few things with pain. They can be acute pain or chronic pain. We can help create anesthesia or analgesia so that either you don't feel it at all or it's really reduced. And we have different ways that we can do that. We also can alter the pain. So we can teach a client to move a pain from an area that scares the crapola out of you to maybe your left toe. And that's like, okay, that's not an issue, right? Also, we can substitute a pain. So something that's burning can be substituted to just a little tingle. Well, that doesn't seem to be such an issue. I can focus on other things if it's just a tingle. Or we can do distraction methods. And I'll explain to you why this works, but we can actually distract. So for example, they always say, a football player, in the middle of the game, he gets knocked down, he gets up, he keeps going, and then afterwards they find out that he's broken 3 ribs and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't realize it because he's so focused on the game that he's distracted from any messages coming through from the body. Well, we can do that as well with hypnosis. And then that 4th group over there, exploring the cause and the meaning and resolving any conflicts. Why do you think I put 3 stars over there?
Because that's the most important one.
Why would that be important to explore the cause? Why shouldn't I just turn it off or move it to a left toe?
Well, if you don't explore the root cause, it'll linger.
It'll come back, it'll
keep-
linger.
It'll resurface.
Exactly, from your top of your neck, it'll go to the bottom of your spinal cord. If your body's communicating, your body's going to communicate. Just like, and I think I've described this before, if your stomach is growling and someone comes to my office and says, can you take this off? I mean, 11:30 every day in my classroom, my stomach growls. It's so annoying. Well, what is that stomach asking for? Right? It might be saying, you know what, breakfast was not strong enough, or you had a snack, or you better start having lunch like right now. Right? So I'm not going to, and when someone first comes in, if they have a lot of pain, I will reduce it, definitely. Because if you have a lot of pain, you have a lot of tension, you can't focus. You can't work on the deeper stuff. But I don't want to just remove something because there's an underlying cause. If we don't resolve it, it's just going to come back, or it's going to come back with vengeance. Okay? Another thing I always do is when someone comes with pain, I won't work with them if they've had a pain, for quite some time, unless they got it checked by their physician. Why won't I do that?
There could be a physical cause that you would be able to determine.
There might be a life-threatening and physical cause. Exactly. I'm going to work on the psychosocial factors, and I'm going to teach you guys to get your brain not to be pulling in and telling you, I got pain, I got pain, I got pain. But if there's a physical factor, or if you've got a tumor, or if you've got something broken and your body is saying, that toe is broken, don't just turn off the pain and keep running, it's important that gets checked. Once it gets checked and your doctor says do this or it's under control, then yes, by all means come and we'll reduce it so it's not so distracting and it doesn't create more stress in your life. So I'm going to give you an example of how I used it yesterday. I'm thinking, oh, this is a great example. So yesterday I went to the dentist. Yeah, and I had to get, finally had to get a cavity. I was fighting it, doing coconut pull, but it was decided to stay there, and I'm like, shut. So I had to get, a filling. And so they put a little Novocaine. She goes, oh, we should put more because it's the bottom jaw. And I said, no, just, don't put too much, just a little bit. So of course my dentist starts working, and I can feel a lot of different sensations. So I said, this is a great opportunity for me to practice what I preach. So I began with imagining a pleasant scene. So last week I was on vacation in Cabo, and while I was walking at 7 a.m. on the beach, the beach, the grains are actually really sharp, so it was a little uncomfortable with my feet. But as she was doing the work, I was imagining walking on that sand, and at the same time I was looking out at the ocean, and there was a whale that breached like 3 times in a row. It's like all these boats were around it, and it was just like, wow, does anybody else see this, right? So while she was doing the work, I was just at the beach, and I was seeing these little fishermen there, and I was distracting myself, and it was really helping until one little part of me said, why are you distracting? Is this that serious? And there was a part of me that almost I can feel it wanted to freak out, because it was like, why are you in distracting mode? What's going on? Why is this important that you're distracting yourself? So I thought, let me try another method, right? So I noticed my hand was almost wanting to shake. I haven't had, a cavity since I was 15, so I'm not used to getting stuff done in my teeth. So I said, okay, I need to find another method. So I actually substituted it. So what I did was I thought, this kind of reminds me of when I was a teenager and I would get a perm, and the hairdresser would be washing my hair, and you still have the curlers on, and she'd be kind of pulling, and but you were just happy going, oh, that looks so cool, And so I imagined as she was doing the work, and she's shooting air and water and this drill stuff, that I was getting my hair done, and it worked. I had no issues for the rest of the procedure because I was just there getting my hair done. So I displaced it. And I told my brain, this is a hairdressing, pulling and pushing and drilling. It has nothing to do with metal objects in a dentist office, right? No more problems. So for you guys to kind of get a sense of what I did yesterday, let's try to figure out what exactly is pain. So you stub your toe, right? And what happens is that area wants to communicate something just happened. So there's a stimulus, and immediately the nerves of that area send energetic impulses up. They want to communicate to the rest of the system. Hey, something happened, you better send me some immune cells, you better send me a lot of stuff, and you better move that foot out of that space. So it doesn't send pain, it sends energy impulses. Let's say all it's doing is sending this, which is code for I just stubbed my toe. And so that goes up the nerve, goes into the central nervous system, continues up and goes into the brain. And the brain receives this, an energy impulse, there's nothing to do with what happened to the toe, and says, oh, that is a stubbed toe. For example, a numbing might be the energy impulse. And so when the brain receives it, it says, oh, this is numbing in the foot. And so then you experience a sensation of numbing in the area that seems to be your foot. What was I doing in those two examples? Well, let's say in my case,
from the top.
the stimulus was right here, right? The stimulus went into the central nervous system and right to my brain. Of course, it was all in the very same area. But possibly while she was doing something, that pulse was being sent to my brain. But at the same time, I was sending to my brain, the whales and the very sharp sand on my feet. And so my brain is receiving all this stuff and trying to focus. And I was making this so much more appetizing. So the brain couldn't be focused very much here, so I could barely sense that was going on, right? In the other case, when imagine I was at the hairdresser, I made this similar to something else. And the brain said, oh, now she worked better. And I said, oh, this is hair being washed. Oh, okay, it's just hair being washed. There's nothing I need to be alarmed about. It's just hair being washed, right? A baclofen pump is actually doing similar things. And a baclofen pump, if anyone has one, they'll actually put into your body a pump that is connected then to your central nervous system, and it sends signals. So when whatever you have, a spasm or burning, is going into the central nervous system, the baclofen pump is sending its own signals. And so when it gets to the brain, your brain's like, oh, well, this is tingling. It can't be burning because it's getting so many different messages. It needs to interpret a code, added with another code. That's how that works, is by altering the signal. So what we need to do is alter the signal. Now, if you're feeling, for example, the MS hug, what if you just kind of start looking at it and go, oh my God, I have the MS hug. Oh, I think this is even worse. I think I'm getting so much worse. I think it's even more. What is the MS hug? Some people have a tightness in their chest area as one of the discomforts, the symptoms of MS. If I focus on the pain, what do you think happens?
It gets worse. It's tighter.
Why do you think it gets worse? Why focus on it? Why would you think this makes it worse? Right? If I'm looking at something else where I've got, look at the birdie, why do you think that helps? Right? In this same thing, why do you think when you're in bed at night, symptoms tend to get worse?
Because you're not focusing on anything else.
Yes. Because you're doing nothing at all, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I must have overdid it today. Oh, I could really feel that. I'll never fall asleep tonight. Do you think you can make your symptoms worse by your thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually one of the techniques. I will teach a client to make a symptom worse, so they go, oh my gosh, I made it worse. And I said, yeah. So if you made it worse, you think you have control of it, maybe you can make it better? Usually that helps with the belief I can't do anything for myself. Well, maybe you can't. So, there is no pain until it reaches the brain. And let's just say there's no pain until it reaches the brain intact, right? I can't feel the pain unless I have this wonderful pulsing, no distractions. So our strategy is going to be alter it in some way. It's a hairdresser. Distort it or distract it. I'm not here, I'm at the beach. Nothing to do with dentists. I don't go to dentists. So that the brain, what the brain is receiving by your thoughts. You guys can become your own baclofen pumps. So we're going to do a little exercise. Anybody? I want to start with a small discomfort, and then we'll go to a little more serious discomfort. This is like driving. If I'm teaching you to drive, I'm not going to take you through San Francisco, right? I'm going to start with dirt road with no one else here. So does anybody have pain as one of their issues?
Well, what happens to me with the hug, it seems like it comes on when I feel stressed. And usually if I'm trying to get somewhere in time, or to get here, I was going, okay, I just have to go get my notebook. So I'm trying, I'm getting up the stairs, all of a sudden, whoosh, this huge tightness affected me in my ribs. And I was like, wow, that's weird. Not always, but I seem to notice it when I'm saying, I only have so many minutes and I have to get this, I have to do this. And so it seems to be a little stress induced, I think.
Yeah, so there you have it,
So I feel
definitely.
tightness.
So it's definitely communicating.
Mhm.
So there I would suggest, and you guys can practice this, is A, do you understand what it's wanting to tell you?
Is to relax. But I don't have time to relax.
Imagine your immune system is like your little soldiers, and you're telling your little soldiers, you don't have time. This is it. This is the end of the world. If you don't get there on time, this is it. This is final failure. But your little immune system is gonna go what? Right? So this is like, right? It blocks everything. If you say, all right, well, let's see how I can do this in 5 minutes. This is going to be really cool because I'm going to get it done. And you know what? There probably won't be any traffic anyway, so I'm fine. Well, what is your immune system getting, right? It's like, oh, this is exciting. And if we don't make it, it's fine, right? Okay, so John, what do you have? Give me your
I have
menu.
leg spasms a whole lot, different times, so really painful.
Okay, do you have any other discomfort that we can start with, and then we'll go with the leg spasms?
Not related to MS, no.
What would it be if it's not related to MS? We can work on that one
Will be
first.
stomach problems,
Okay, how is your stomach right now?
bad.
Okay, scale
Always
of,
bad.
okay, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being so bad I can't think of anything, 1 being, it's there, but.
It's probably about a 5 right now.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do, and I suggest everyone do what's called indirect therapy, which is as I work with John, you kind of work on yourselves. And this is recorded, so you guys can work on yourselves a lot more times. Okay, so John, we're gonna do one way to do it today, and next month we'll do others. But this one's a really nice one that you can do anywhere you're at. So you don't have to be laying down relaxed, and listening to recording this. You can just do it in the instant. So John, take a moment to close your eyes for a moment. And if that pain there, if that discomfort there had a color, what color is it?
Orange.
All right. If that, as you kind of notice that, if that had a pathway where that discomfort starts and where it ends, where is that pathway? Where does it start and where does it end? Does it go up or down or sideways?
Starts about in my chest and goes down to here.
Okay, so it starts in the chest and goes down to about mid-stomach. Okay. How wide is that discomfort?
3-4 inches.
Okay, so 3 or 4 inches. It kind of starts from here and goes to there. Okay. Now, I want you to open your eyes a moment, and this is a strange question, but I want you to, in a moment, notice in what direction does that discomfort spin. Notice, does it spin in this direction or in this direction? Everything in life, just like the Earth and all the orbits, has some form of...
Counterclockwise.
All right, perfect. Now, what you're going to do, I'm going to tell you and then you'll do it all kind of at the same time. Think of a color that's very relaxing. Some people like, nice light blue. Some people like gold or white. And what you're going to do is from the opposite, we're doing the opposite of everything we've just discovered. You're going to bring that color from the bottom up and you're going to go clockwise. You're just going to spend maybe a minute or two with this wonderful color you're deciding, the opposite spin going up. You just take a little time for that energy. And as you do as well, notice if it's better or worse if you make that spin wider to cover the whole area, or just nice and small in the center of that. Some people have actually experimented and realized that if the spin touches all 4 corners of the room, that feels best. But just kind of experiment. And keep that spin going. Notice if it feels better or worse, if it's slower, or if it has a little quicker pace to it. And really keep that wonderful color going. And I don't know why, but the body loves sparkles. I'm going to add some sparkles to it. I see a lot of smiles with that one. I don't know why. Probably because I got a little kid inside of this. And then open your eyes, taking a breath in, and now get a sense of how your stomach feels. Scale of 1 to 5, where is it at now?
Feels different. Feels better, but it feels different. Feels like it went down lower.
It went down lower. Perfect. Now, as you notice the down lower, notice where it starts and where it ends. See, bodies hate to be ignored, so actually doing the opposite of what we try to do, we try to ignore our discomfort. Notice where it's at. Notice again, what color does that one have? It's shifted.
It'll be more of a black.
There's more of a black, it's shorter, it's lower. Good. Notice its width.
What's that?
The width.
About 3 inches.
All right, yeah, it's about 3 inches. And now notice in that sensation, what spin does it have? In what direction is it spinning?
Clockwise.
All right. So in that case, introduce a color that really, really like and calms you. And now in that area, just introduce that clockwise spin. And give it a moment. A wonderful color, clockwise spin. Again, sparkles always seems to help a little. That's it. And then when you notice that it just kind of takes a life of its own, it just kind of seems to already get that energy, then you just open your eyes. And again, you stretch a little bit, because you're going to have to wake everything up. And notice now, what does it feel like? A scale of 1 to 5, of 1 to 10.
Feels better.
Yeah. So what number would it be now?
3.
Yeah. So it's gone down. So that's one of the ways that you can actually change how you're actually, well, this is a spinning technique, but you're actually substituting the information because your mind is receiving this kind of signal in this way. By using your thoughts and changing this, your mind is receiving a different signal. And usually the solution to a problem is its opposite. Anybody else have another one that we can just quickly do? If not, we can do next month as well. Or we'll just leave it with this one. So this is one of the ways that actually you can actually do this as well with moods. So a couple of days ago, I was having a day that I was hoping I was doing some admin stuff and I was hoping it was going to be really quick. But the whole day, nothing seemed to be very quick. Everything seemed to be taking forever and things weren't working. And I was noticing I was in this mood. So what I did was I go, okay, let me focus on my mood. And so I focused, and it was like a potato, a black potato right here. And so I changed my black potato to a nice light blue, and I spun it the other way. And I just let it there, just a nice 2-minute meditation. And then I opened my eyes and I felt fine. Then, when I left work and I was driving home, I noticed my mood wanted to come back. I was like, anything today. What do you think I did? Did I go, that doesn't work. I'm just going to have to be in a bad mood until tomorrow morning.
Try again.
I said, what was that thing? Oh yeah, it was a light blue and it was clockwise. And I was driving, probably shouldn't do it while you're driving, but I was like, I could do 2 things at once. And I brought the blue again and I did the spin. And by the time I was home, I was fine. And then I journaled about my mood and what I need to put in place and, how much time I maybe need to put things in so that I don't have to get back into that mood. But you can change the signal, the emotional signal as well as any physical signal. And we'll continue next month because there's so many different techniques. And as I did with the dentist, you try different things and see what works. And so it's nice to have several tools in the toolbox. I'll give you an example. One of my clients with MS, there's another method that we can do in which rather than inside do the spin, you can actually pull it out. Someone who's very visual. This is for someone very kinesthetic, someone who's very much, feel. So someone who's very visual, like when they imagine stuff, it's all visual, 3D color and everything. You can actually also pull it out, spin it, and then put it back in. And so one of my clients, she was very visual, she did that. When she pulled it out, she spun it, we always transform it. It transformed, instead of deciding your own color, into tangerines for spasms. And she's like, what does tangerines have to do with spasms? I don't know. But when she put the tangerines in her leg, spasms went away. So she said 2 days later, she wakes up in the morning and she's noticing a spasm coming on and she's like, I don't have time to do my whole throwing spin. I don't even know how to do it right. So she just imagined stuffing tangerines in her leg. The spasm stopped. So now she says she has tangerines all over her house and she has orange stuff, just a reminder to keep those spasms down. But those are one of the other ways. All righty, so any questions?
I like about the spinning. And it changes clockwise that it spins?
Figure out what direction the discomfort is spinning. Change the direction. Wow. So I'll have clients, a lot of times, issues or feeling overwhelmed, you're actually spinning outwards. So if you actually spin inwards, you will change the other one. Calm yourself back down.
Right.
Because your brain is responding to this signal. You change the signal, you have more resources. Overwhelm isn't a good resource, but if you bring that energy inwards, that's actually calmness and internally, right? Internal, because you're bringing stuff into your body rather than losing it all, you're more resourceful and can respond to whatever's happening. All right. Okay, so see you guys next month.
Thank you.